everybody. Welcome to Into the Wild. I am your host, Janie Maticia, and I am here with
Adriana Alter, the co-founder and artistic director of Atlas Shakespeare Company and the director of our upcoming production of Richard III.
Work. That's a title, y'all. That is a title. Anyway, okay. So, I'm not a Shakespeare girl. I know I'm an actor, but I am not a Shakespeare girl, and I'm sorry, but what is the show about?
The show is about the king's youngest brother deciding that he wants the crown for himself, and he is not next in line. There are several people in his way, his relatives, and that's not an obstacle for him because he's going to kill all of them. So first of all, let me just say that the premise of our company is that everyone, even people who don't consider themselves Shakespeare people, can just come into our shows not knowing anything going in and follow the whole plot and enjoy the story. My favorite thing that I hear from audience members is that this was their first Shakespeare play and they're so excited that they were able to follow everything, get all the jokes, get all of the nuances of the character motivations. So you don't have to be a Shakespeare person to enjoy Shakespeare.
Tell me, what sets Atlas apart from other Shakespeare companies?
We are very committed to presenting the plays as they were intended to be presented in a general sense, in terms of them being popular entertainment that's designed for everyone and a fun, exciting, very alive thing to go to that helps you step into a different world rather than an academic exercise that's separated by years and years. One of my favorite things about Shakespeare is that it's such a good demonstration that people have always been people. So if you really focus on the characters and the three-dimensionality as we do, then we really give audiences a sense that they can relate to these characters despite the time and place separation, because these are just human beings who have things that they want and people they love or hate and things that they're trying to do, etc.
Why do you keep it in the traditional period?
So my feeling is that recontextualizing it just gets in the way of telling the story. I mean, there have been a lot of wonderful creative adaptations and reconceptualizations, but as an audience member, I get so bogged down in sitting there trying to figure out, okay, well, in this world, what would this map onto and what would be the equivalent of this historical thing, that it interferes with my ability to just appreciate the characters and the plot as they are. So that's one reason we're really optimizing for clear storytelling in the interests of having people be able to follow it. But also I think there's something to be said for escapism, for instead of modernizing it and bringing it closer to what people are used to, instead bringing people into a different world and letting them have that break from their everyday lives and have the adventure of what would it be like to interact with this space in the 1400s and how would that society be different or similar to what they're used to.
So question, do you like the movie She's the Man?
I mean, that's a different category of thing. Yes, I do. But okay. Things that are a new plot based on a Shakespeare play are a very different thing, because the whole premise for those is figuring out what would things map onto, what would the equivalents be. That's different from taking the actual Shakespeare script and setting it in whatever other time period.
But I love that you're honoring the text, and I think that's beautiful.
Thank you. From my perspective, it's the thing that's easiest to do and makes the most sense to do, because Shakespeare was an actor as well as a playwright, and his company had almost no rehearsal time, so he's very mindful of including on the page really everything that you need. And if you don't add extra complicating factors and you just work with what's there, everything becomes so much more streamlined.
Yeah. What sets this version of Richard III apart from other companies or random people doing it on the streets versions?
Well, certainly the fact that so many of our actors have the backstory going into it from having been in the prequels, but also the fact that we're really applying our signature method of focusing on character and storytelling. We're very attuned to the dark humor in all of these plays. I think a lot of people don't realize how funny this play is. But one of the things that sets this play apart is the way it juxtaposes comedy and tragedy. So you have, for example, a double act of slapstick comedy murderers who are then carrying out a really disturbing crime. So that kind of emotional roller coastering we really leaned into. I'm also very attuned to the fact that this is one of the earliest versions of the trope of the charismatic villain who the audience is supposed to root for. So Richard is fun and flashy, and you love him even while he's doing horrible things. And we've also been very attentive to the fact that unlike most Shakespeare villains, he's in a weird way looking for external validation from the audience. He's very insecure and wants to show off for us so that he can be impressed with his own cleverness. So in a weird way, we become complicit in all of his crimes. We're almost his imaginary friends. And I think a lot of productions don't pick up on and lean into that.
So this is your third show? Mm-hmm. You started with Histories. Why are we starting with Histories?
We actually started with Henry VI Part 1 because that was the first play that Shakespeare wrote. So we thought that would be very fitting for our first play as a company. And we liked the idea of presenting some of the more obscure plays, because when you do a famous play and the audience comes in knowing it already, they're filtering it through all of their mental images and all of their memories of other versions they've seen, or their memories of high school English class or whatever else, and it becomes more of an intellectual exercise. So we wanted to show them something new and surprise them and have the plot twists be legitimate reveals and have it be suspenseful and shocking and whatever else.
That's fair. Every time I see 12th Night, I think she's the man. So
exactly. You come in knowing where the story is going already.
Yeah, and then you miss all of the comedy and the nuances that a specific production is giving you.
Yeah, you can't go on the journey in the same way if you already know where it's going.
Yeah, you can't enter the world. Mm-hmm. Come on, guys. So it's 2026, for those who don't know that. How does this play relate to the world today?
So I try not to get too political, but I will say that in general, in any era, there are leaders who are characterized by their deliberate misleading of public opinion and their sort of diversion tactics so that no one will notice that what they're doing isn't actually legal or anything. And leaders who are very motivated by wanting to seize and abuse power such that basic ethics kind of go out the window. And we invite viewers to draw their own connections there.
So why Wild Project?
We toured a lot of theaters, and this is just the most pleasant one to work at, the best for our purposes. It's beautiful. I know my actors really enjoy working here. It's great having the bigger dressing rooms because we have an unusually big cast for New York theater. We have 15 people. So a lot of the places we looked at have dressing rooms that are set up for a total of 6 or 8 people, and that wasn't going to work. But no, there's something very nice about having the whole building and letting people step into such a beautiful, well-curated space. It really helps sell the feeling that they're stepping into a separate world and that we're taking them into an adventure.
And that is really what theater is about, is going on an adventure and joining a world.
Exactly. It's one of the reasons we set all our plays in their original era. We are inviting people to come to 1485 with us, step into King Edward IV's court.
Also, I took a sneak peek at your costumes. They are gorgeous, just letting you know.
Beautiful.
Listen, I'm one of my dreams, even though, again, not a Shakespeare girl, but I would love to be in a period piece, and your costumes look fantastic.
Thank you so much. They're so beautiful. We're so lucky to have an amazing costume team. So that really helps create and sell that world of the play. When you walk in and the first thing you see are people in these very authentic, very lavish 15th century costumes, you know you're in a different world now.
Oh my God.
Doth mother know you weareth her drapes? That's not Shakespeare for those folks at home.
Close enough.
Yeah, you're right. No, it is.
It is
now. You bet your bottom dollar it is. Well, thank you so much for sitting here and chatting with me. This has been Into the Wild. I am your host. See you next time.